Was this when you moved back to Coventry in the Grand Union Canal? Was that then?
Yes, that's sometime after. I mean, to her credit, Barbara stuck it out with Wicked Messengers for a fair while longer than me.
Yeah.
And I went back barging for 6 months, and then what happened was I then thought it was possible to start taking interest in canals and so on. You can see how this kind of thing with
the
lifestyle anarchism is always,
your blood, like.
Yeah, and I thought it must be possible to have like this anarcho-hippie community on the canals. It probably already exists. Let's go and find it.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of narrowboats, bought 2 narrowboats, and set off, and lived on the canals for 3 years. And
it's interesting that sort of pattern repeated itself in the 90s after the police drove the sort of peace convoys and New Age travellers. Amazing amount of people went back to live on barges.
That's right.
And formed those kind of communities about 20 years later.
Yeah.
So you ended up, I think, on the Grand Union Canal in... Well, I got me canal geography right.
That's right, yeah. And again, sort of attempting to straddle both sort of camps of the anarchist movement. Living on the canals and everything was very much a sort of, lifestyle, anarchism, as you call it. And
but at the same time, you were sort of forming a local solidarity group.
Yeah, well, I was involved in Coventry Solidarities, and good comrades there. Whereas I was this sort of, boat dwelling hippie. I mean, those guys were, they were shop stewards at Lucas Aerospace. Good mates.
And what did you think of your time in Solidarity? Did you just confine yourself to the local group? Did you meet the rest of Solidarity?
No, I met. There's some very good people in Solidarity. I mean, people like Chris Pallas, Joe Jacobs. Yeah. There's a long list of them. Outstanding people, really.
It's funny,
very influential.
Yeah. Well, the ideas were, and I was in Swansea at the time, and we must have had the same visitors as you. We had people like Joe Jacobs and Arnold Fellman rolling up at 5 a.m, demanding to talk politics for 24 hours. Yeah. Quite amazing. Also, one thing you told me earlier was that Jason Toynbee, Polly Toynbee's son, was actually in your brother was in your Solidarity group.
Yes, he was.
This is a world exclusive.
Yes, he was in Coventry Solidarity. He was a good lad. Yeah,
you're not still in touch with him.
Nothing wrong with Jason.
So then you're on the canal. You're in Solidarity. Amazing, as you say, straddling both wings of anarchism. And then you made yet another move. This time to Brighton.
Yeah.
What brought that about?
Well, I think what brought it about was Barbara realising my complete inability to ever make any money. And if there was ever going to be any money for the family, she was going to have to provide it. And probably it'd be a good idea if she got an education. So she went to Sussex University as a mature student.
And you ran off to Brighton to join a circus, is that right?
Well, that's not strictly true, but what happened was we lived in Brighton. I was involved in punk bands to start with, and producing the inevitable fanzine and so on and so forth. Dreadful fanzine, it's terrible. But anyway, there was an ad in the local paper looking for people to work in a circus, and it was based in Brighton. Didn't move. I was 2 months working with a circus, which I found fascinating. All that kind of the marginal part of society's always interested me.
Yeah, the outsiders, the marginals seem to have interested you all that time,
yeah.
which is classic anarchist in some way, that fascination with people, as Bakunin did at the margins of society. Yeah. And were you still involved with Jamie Reid and people like that at this time, or that at all with the punk thing?
Yep, still in touch with them. They by this time were involved with the Pistols and everything, and they influenced me quite a bit. Can I just say something? A lot of people now sort of slag off that whole project, the Sex Pistols. Well, it wasn't perfect, and there were a lot of faults in it. But the comrades that I personally knew, who were involved in it, were like solid people. Some of them are mates to this day, and they were doing it for the right reasons. I just want to...
You mean the whole McLaren project linked with situationism to actually create a situation which would go beyond the point of no return?
Precisely.
And do you think it came pretty close to doing that?
For a very short time. Yeah. But hey, we've all been involved in projects that didn't
I love that bit of where the Sex Pistols did some kids' party somewhere in South Yorkshire. It was when they provided cake and everything. There's some film of it. It's quite incredible, yeah. So where did that leave you then after in Brighton? How long were you there for?
We lived in Brighton right up to the late 80s, actually.
And this is in a really interesting area, which I'm sure a lot of people... You developed by this time an interest in martial arts, and you opened up, I think, a martial arts club.
Opened up martial arts clubs, yeah. Tried to create a less hierarchical kind of martial arts, yeah.
Can you explain, I mean, how is martial arts hierarchical?
Well, it's always been around a sort of very rigid kind of structure, grading systems and so on and so forth, yeah, from the top down, you know, very much so, largely because of the Japanese influence, I think, yeah. And I thought I think it's important to challenge things, Ian. You know, have a look at it and ask some basic questions about it. Yeah, I mean, that's what I try and do.
So you stride into the local martial arts club, you question the black belt and say this hierarchical organisation's all wrong, and are carried out, to go back to the circus, as the non-headed man. So how did you actually set up your own martial arts?
Yeah, set up my own martial arts club and did a correspondence course at the same time.
What, you can do a correspondence course in martial arts?
Yes, I did actually. I've always been fascinated.
Not the Charles Atlas School of Bodybuilding.
Another marginal area that I was interested in is correspondence courses. I mean, the whole idea that I could send off my 10 and 6-penny postal order and, like, you know, find out the secrets of the Rosicrucians, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, that was fascinated me. But so I thought I'd do a martial arts, a self-defence correspondence course. I called it Ready to Ruck, and I thought that I might be able to. I thought I might make a few bob.
So this is a correspondence course you set up?
I set this course, and I didn't make any money out of it, inevitably, so don't worry about me being corrupted by capitalism or anything like that. But
no, I know you're a martial arts, I'm not going to question you on anything.
I also thought I might be able to use it as a vehicle for anti-state propaganda.
Well, can you what did other martial arts people think of your attempt to sort of develop a non-hierarchical model?
Well, some people thought it was. Some people liked it. Some people didn't. You know.
So how did it actually work in practice?
Well, in practice, we experiment. We would come down. I mean, I was the instructor. Yeah. So to that extent, it was hierarchical. We didn't have a grading system, and we would try and discover how would be, you know, in real, actual, practical, physical terms, how things worked and so on. Yeah.
So is Ready to Ruck still going? What happened?
No, but I still have a copy, and I may be able to let you have a copy.
So it's all in there. There's a sort of Ready to Ruck manual and stuff.
Yes, it's not the finest thing I ever produced, but it was good fun doing it.
I'm sure it'll be a fascinating object to look at. And is that an interest you still maintain, martial arts?
Well, only to the yes, I am interested in it, to only marginally, really.
Yeah. You've managed to make. We've got a couple of minutes left. You've managed to maintain an incredible, varied level of activity over a long period, and it really does make my life look one-dimensional. All the things you've done. How do you feel now, looking back on it? Do you still feel, you know, that you've managed to have some enjoyment as well as struggle? It's certainly not been all martyrdom along the way.
Oh, definitely not. No, I mean, like you, Ian, I'm very much against the sort of miserabilist wing of the left. You know, I mean, I think it's very important, and I think that politics is about everything that you do, or it's about nothing, really. You know, I mean, it's about your whole life, or it's not worth bothering about.
Do you remain optimistic about the possibilities of social change?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Why on earth do you do that?
You know, the situation is said. It may seem ridiculous to talk of revolution, but it's even more ridiculous to talk of anything else. and I think that's right.
Yeah. And you must have made. You mentioned that you're still in touch with a lot of friends you made on the way, so you still retain sort of contacts from all those different facets of your life.
Yeah.
Okay, Ray, that's been absolutely fascinating. You told me a quote that I'm going to read out to end the show, that when you finished working as a lockkeeper on your last day in work, you pinned a notice on the door.
Before I retired.
And maybe you should read it out rather than me, because you got it there. They're your words rather than mine. Yeah,
I just stuck this on the wall on the last day of working. So I'm going now. I started work at 15 years of age, worked on the river and at sea, but also worked in factories and fields, in the circus and in films. I never achieved much, but I never crossed a picket line, never judged a fellow worker by their colour or creed, nor sucked up to the bosses for my own ends.
Enough said, I think. Ray, thanks very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.